People have wanted me to do more main characters from the Wheel of Time, but Galad is extra fascinating to me, and I really think worth diving into for a couple of specific reasons. The way he is presented to the reader at first from Robert Jordan is done very deliberately. We never actually walk in Galad's shoes for any extended period of time until way later in the series. And when we do meet him, it's through brief flashes where you can quickly judge him based off what he says without actually reading too much deeper into it. And the people who tell us about Galad either know him incredibly well and are siblings and have kind of come to resent him, or they've only known him for a little bit and have been fast to judge him. And as this should, it gives a quick impression to the reader that Galad's not a likable guy. When I first read Wheel of Time, I hated Galad and then I slowly loved him. And when I reread it, I kind of grew to hate him again, and then I realized what makes you love him towards the end. Because when we're finally allowed to walk in Galad's shoes with him, you understand where he's coming from in a much more real way. He is a moral absolutist, and this is not the most likable characteristic of a person, but he really walks the walk he talks, and that's something you have to respect. This isn't someone who's preaching an ideology that they then turn around and disobey. This is someone who expects the best of people and wants them to perform their absolute best, and when they don't, that's when he has a problem. I don't mean best as in a physical sense or anything like that. I mean morally. Galad wants people to behave in a way where they treat others well and respect each other. That's all he's asking. When we see him even join the White Cloaks, there's a very interesting conversation he has with his brother Gawain, where Gawain is essentially telling Galad how the White Cloaks are perceived and who he's joining with. And Galad agrees with him and simply retaliates with the White Cloaks' founding principles of fighting the dark wherever they find it. Of course, that appeals to Galad. He wants to do that. He wants nothing more than to fight the shadow. At no point does he believe Aes Sedai are evil or any of the other crazy conspiracy theories that the White Cloaks have. All he does is join the White Cloaks and begin purging out those who don't actually follow the ideology. And what I really start to respect here is when someone in the White Cloaks challenges him for a reason that's not about morality, simply questioning his authority. He doesn't respond the same way he does when he encounters someone he believes to be evil. He simply explains himself. And almost every single time Galad explains himself, no one can really retaliate. He's very logical and he understands the world around him in a very grounded way. Don't let his moral views let you think he doesn't understand people. Galad knows most people walk a very gray line, and he's okay with those people. He doesn't even look down on them, but he just wants better. And I certainly would never want to hang out with him. But you can't hate someone who just wants to improve the world around him by increasing respect and fighting the shadow wherever he finds it. We see examples of him listening to the lowest man as the same he would to a noble. The entire purpose of Galad's character is to learn from the world around him and to try to improve it wherever he can. Yes, he follows all the rules, even the annoying ones, because he's just trying to fight the chaos. He just wants to bring things into order so that everyone can be safe. Even when truly horrible things are happening to Galad and his family, his retribution's fair. Yes, he kills the man who rapes his mother, but after learning that man's a dark friend and in a very fair duel, because this is a guy who believes in the rule of law. He thinks that people need guidance, but not in an arrogant, I'm better than you way. He looks down on no one. He just wants everyone to give an opportunity to do the best. And if they break the rule, they deserve a punishment. And on a side note, Galad doesn't actually believe in a lot of the extremist edicts of the White Cloaks. He does not hate the White Tower or Aes Sedai. He doesn't believe that someone who stands in the light is invulnerable to people who stand in the shadow. He views the world around him in a very grounded way. This is what allows him to speak to the lowest man or the highest noble with the exact same cadence. And to someone like Matt, through his lens, yes, Galad comes across as an arrogant prick, but that's because we're looking at it through Matt. Whenever we're sitting in Galad's actual thought process, what you find is someone who just wants to protect the world and elevate it to a better place, a place of safety where people don't have to run in fear. Would I ever want to go get a drink with Galad? No. But if I had a group writing a rule of law for the country, I'd absolutely want Galad on the panel. The final thing that really makes me and many other readers respect Galad is his final interactions with Perrin Aybara. Galad has been told by those around him who he trusts that Perrin is an evil monster, a dark friend, and a master of lies. And when Galad meets Perrin, you can tell he's very conflicted because he meets one of the most morally just people in the entire series. Perrin walks tall as pretty much a beacon of moral perfection. He makes no choices throughout the series that you could really blink at as something that's wrong. He's a simple blacksmith who wants to do his job and go home that has been thrust into an extraordinary circumstances, who's maybe the embodiment of everything Galad believes in. Galad recognizes this very quickly and sees the hatred within his men as something based off passion, not logic, and goes from hearing all these horrible stories about Perrin the Dark Friend to immediately recognizing a friend, and so someone who he can walk beside and learn from. Galad's acknowledgement that he can learn from Perrin is what I respect most about him, and what made me go from kind of being resentful towards him to really respecting him. Because if you meet someone who's a moral absolutist, who's joined this extremist group to purge the world of evil, don't expect them to listen. But Galad's all about that. Galad's admiration for Perrin speaks volumes. He looks at this man who came up from being a simple blacksmith to leading a village, and he kind of almost kneels ideologically to him. He wants Perrin to talk more, and everything that he learns from Perrin you can tell he takes to heart. The son of the most powerful queen of the entire land that they're in, and someone who's in charge of one of the most powerful armies, is listening to a blacksmith and realizes that Perrin is someone who people should be admiring, not hunting. I find it to be very admirable and certainly worth an examination, because Galad really stands tall in fantasy for me as someone who's underappreciated. Many readers kind of go off the first impression they're given at the beginning of the series and don't really go beyond that. But if you really look at the way he handles himself and the way that he respects others and never talks down to anybody, I really do think Galad is someone who should be appreciated more. He can be arrogant, especially with his abilities with his sword, but once again, he's walking the walk that he talks. He's not about saying anything he will not follow up. Yes, he spouts this moral absolutism, but he follows it. And yes, he is cocky with a blade, but by God, can he back it up. That's my examination of Galad. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, all that fun stuff, and have a good day. Peace.